I'm Therese Lewandowski.
I am Kurt Lewandowski, and I am speaking with my wife, Therese.
We grew up in a real similar yet completely different situation. So do you want to share a little bit about your childhood?
I grew up in a pretty conservative home.
The same way I grew up in a family with three brothers, and we were middle class, conservative, all that. And my dad died when I was 16, and you had something as well.
Yeah. My parents got a divorce when I was 11.
So that was one of the things when we first started dating. We both decided we didn't want divorce to be an option. I know a lot of people say that, but we've kind of proven that because we've been married almost 33 years.
Going on 33 years.
This is crazy. When did you first fall in love with your spouse?
I fell in love with you when I was just almost done with my graduate school because we had similar classes. We both are math majors and we both were taking math classes. And I remember you coming into the room with these classes and knowing everyone else, and you were so bubbly and outgoing. And you said hello and bubbled and gushed over everybody in the classroom except for me. And I think it's because you didn't know me.
That's what I tell people.
But still, you were attractive to me. And so I pursued that over the next couple, 3 weeks. And it didn't take long for me to fall in love with you.
Well, thank you. That was like the very end of our senior year in college. And it kind of took off after that.
It really did. It didn't take long. We were engaged and married within the year. I know right out of grad school, I just was willing to accept any job. So my first job was down in Central California. I applied everywhere and interviewed, and you actually came with me on that interview. We drove down there, did the interview, and I got offered the job. I think I was 24 years old.
Yeah, 24, almost 25.
But that was down in California. So even though we had just started dating, that meant that I was immediately moving to California, and we were apart for the entire first year while we were dating and never lived in the same town until we got married.
No internet, no texting.
No,
we loved
no cell phones.
No, every Sunday we could talk on the phone, but not for too long because it was expensive.
We could record messages on cassette tapes. So we would talk to the other person on a cassette tape and we would mail it back and forth.
I remember you'd say things like, "Hey, honey, I just got back from a long run. Good day at work." We weren't doing anything really exciting, but just to hear each other's voice.
Yeah.
That was really sweet.
So back in 1988, we got engaged, married July 2nd of that summer. So things moved along rather quickly. Yeah, and we moved to California, lived there for 2 years before we returned to Oregon.
How did you get into your line of work?
We are both college math teachers. In fact, our offices are right next to each other. I've been teaching college-level math now for 34 years, almost 31 of those years now at Clackamas Community College.
And I've been at Clackamas for 21 years.
So I went to college for the sole purpose of playing baseball. I got a baseball scholarship. It paid for 4 years of school. It was fantastic. But I had an arm injury as a pitcher, and it put me to the side, and that was fine. That happened my junior year of college.
I always wanted to be a teacher. I had a little desk in my room, and the last day of school is my favorite because you could bring home all your school supplies, but no one ever wanted to play school with me. Growing up, my parents tried to get me to not be a teacher because they didn't think it wasn't going to make enough money. Well, my dad didn't graduate from high school, and my mom didn't go to college. My brother had died my sophomore year, and my dad my junior. So by the time I was a senior, and I was setting to go off to college away, my neighbors sat me down. They had me come over and they said, "You can't leave. Your mom's not in any place for you to go off to college. She needs you at home." So I'm glad I did. But at the time, I cried a lot of tears. So I stayed home and went to Mount Hood Community College and played basketball. I would start out in physical therapy, and I realized you actually have to touch people, and I thought that was gross. And then I went over to chemistry, but I worked in a pharmacy, and that was just so boring and quiet. So I went to the counselor, and it happened that the academic advisor at Mount Hood, and I remember she saying, "You know, you have something with people and with being in front of people. Have you ever thought about being a teacher?" And I said, "I've always wanted to be a teacher." So then she looked at my stuff. She goes, "You're really good at math." I said, "Yeah, I guess I could teach math." And we decided to get into math. And then with coaching, I said, I would love to do both of those things.
Yeah.
So when his father died, the family decided that he was going to do the service. And he had our friend Gary, that's a pastor, as backup just in case he couldn't go through with it. Got too moved. You start off by telling stories about when you were like a little kid and you had to drive your dad home from the bar. You sat on a telephone book and had to drive him home, or you and your sisters had to just wait outside while he was in drinking, and all those crazy stories.
Yeah, when you're 12 years old driving down I-5 from Portland to Salem because my dad couldn't.
You're sharing this at the funeral, and I'm kind of scared, horrified. Like, you don't usually talk like that at a funeral. No. You don't tell those kind of stories. We usually tell the good. And then you kind of pause, you go, but then God.
Yeah.
Then God stepped in, and you saw such a change in your dad. And since then, all of us, your whole family, your sisters, have all become Christians.
Yeah.
And just changed a life because of what your dad did. Okay, anything you want to wrap up or close with?
Well, I just so appreciate you, even your goading and prodding and supporting and encouraging to even get me to do this kind of an interview, because it does. It stretches me and it takes me out of my shell. And so I appreciate you inviting me and encouraging me to do this, but I also appreciate you doing the same role throughout our marriage. You've challenged me to try opportunities that I probably wouldn't have chosen to do on my own.
And if you don't like it, I don't push anymore, do I? I'm just like, just give it a try.
That's right.
And I thank you for doing this. And I think it's good for even the kids, like we're saying, on posterity's sake. And I just want to say how much I love you and that you're just amazing. And we're coming up on 33 years.
I love you too. Appreciate you.